and he's curious about like the actual geography of the world and how kind of expansive Skyrim will be. He thought Oblivion was pretty big. Is Skyrim sort of a comparable geography?
So as far as actual landmass, it's about the size of Oblivion.
Okay.
It's different in that a lot of it, I don't want to say a lot, there's a good portion of it that is mountainous.
Okay.
And mountains you just can't walk across, so they kind of inflate your game space. So if you have this large mountain, getting up and through that and around that, and then the dungeons that are on the mountain, they tend to compress. The parts of the world that have mountains tend to get, I don't know if you'll use the word compress or expand. You spend more time there, so it does feel, when you're walking around it, to us it feels a bit bigger because of the mountains.
Okay.
And we were, really pushing to have it not just be this big, snowy mountain game, the whole game, so that we do have a lot of different regions. So another thing we pushed, we have, maybe 5 or 6 regions, and they all have a really unique look while still being part of that province, from pine forest to fall forest to tundra and volcanic tundra, and then the mountains with the snow, and then the glacier area and things like that.
This is kind of an interesting question from 10 level. He asks, is there any particular ESRB rating that you guys are aiming for?
We never aim for a specific rating. I would be I don't want to say anything then, because I'm sure it'll be M. But we never aim for a specific rating.
You are killing a lot of dudes.
I would be surprised if we did not get an M. Our assumption is we're getting an M, so we are doing the content that we think is appropriate, not for an M. We're doing the content that we think is appropriate for Skyrim.
Sure.
So there is more violence to the combat, just in how it looks. Not like Fallout violence where it gets really over the top. It's more, as much as we're doing, it's more realistic level of violence.
Okay.
For what it is, with guys and swords and axes and those kinds of things.
Okay. Well, we had another reader, a guy named Glo7008, who wanted to know if there is a HUD, and if not, how the health system will work. How are you able to kind of tell how your character's doing, that kind of thing?
There is a HUD. I think he's commenting on a line in the article where it says the game is HUDless. It comes and goes as needed.
Right.
So there is a small compass bar at the top that right now is always there for direction. And the other, your magicka, your health, and your stamina, or other things, come up when they need to. So if you're just walking around the world and your full health, your health bar isn't on the screen. It just doesn't need to be. So we want to keep it HUDless as much as possible. But as soon as someone hits you and your health drops at all, the health bar shows up, and then once it's full for a period of time, it goes away. It's that kind of paradigm.
Okay. Got it. I think there were a few different people. We talk a lot these days, I think, about a game from the console perspective, but we definitely had some readers who were curious about kind of the PC direction. Mm-hmm. We had one guy, Count Chocula here, wanted to know if there are any plans to release an X64 version of the game for PC players. We had some people asking about high-resolution textures, if those were things that would have to be modded in. A bunch of people who were just kind of curious in general about the PC experience. Do you guys have like a dedicated group that's working on the PC version? You work on them together? How does that work out?
Well, we work on it together, and the main thing for people to know is our background is PC games. The game is authored here on PCs. That's what we work on. So a lot of the team is playing the game on PC all day. We do want the platforms to each have a really, really high level of fidelity. I personally play a lot on the Xbox. It tends to be my preferred platform. We do a lot of graphics development still first on the Xbox, just because it's smoother. and a lot of that stuff does go over to the PC. The PC, I don't want to comment on specific, whether it's processors or different types of things. We tend to do as much as we can as the project goes on, because we want to support as wide a range as possible. We also tend to do that stuff late, because right now we want to work on the main game and how it plays and getting the graphics fast everywhere, and then as the project gets closer to release, we start supporting all those other things. You'll definitely be able to run the PC at a much higher resolution. All of our games that we've done so far, so I don't want to commit on this, but I'll just say all of the games we've done, Oblivion, Fallout 3, Morrowind, the PC versions have higher res textures they ship with, by default. And a lot of times you don't notice that, because when you play a console game, you are sitting, 6 to 10 feet away from the screen.
Right.
Whereas in the PC, you're sitting a foot, 2 feet away from the screen. So those kind of differences in texture resolution you don't notice, except if you're looking at two screenshots on a computer and flipping between them. So I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is we are going to support that stuff. I can't say how far, but the same thing with the interface. We do a lot of PC interface stuff. So if you're reading about the interface, there are uniquenesses to how we handle it on the PC.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Another question, just as I'm kind of scrolling through our pages here, that a couple people asked about, that is something I'd be curious about your thoughts on too, is your philosophy towards achievements and trophies. What do you think about those systems, and how do you want them to work in Skyrim?
I mean, we love them. We definitely do them with all of our games, and I think our general approach is to have a mix. If you look at the mix in Fallout 3 between specific quests and leveling or collection achievements, that kind of balance was pretty good. We have to do it differently this time because we have a lot more quests. So we like to have a balance of specific quests that are important, or quest lines, and then just general gameplay stuff. Get to this level, collect X gold, do this. So we like to have a nice mix of that stuff.
Cool. Well, I think I know the answer to this question, but just so that we kind of get it out there on the record, is there any chance that you guys are going to do Kinect support, Move support, 3D, any of that kind of stuff, any of these sort of new emerging technologies connected to Skyrim?
There's a quote, what is the movie, Dumb and Dumber, where he goes, so you're saying there's a chance. I guess there's a chance. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But both of those systems, 3D, I would be surprised. Both Kinect and Move, they're fairly new systems as of last year. And you look at something like the Kinect, Microsoft's still updating what it can do, how it handles things, how the libraries work. Same with Move. So there might be something that we end up doing that we think fits. But it would at this point it would surprise me, because we do want to keep our focus on the main game.
Got it.
So.
Got it. This was another thing that I remember you talking a little bit about, and we talked a little bit about in the article, but just to hear it from you, that when you start off with your character, he doesn't know that he's Dragonborn. Is that right?
Correct.
And so that's sort of. Can you tell us a little bit about like what's going on there? That is occurring in the game, and like how that comes about.
I don't want to spoil it too much.
Yeah.
But he does find out. There's an event that happens with a dragon where you find out you're Dragonborn. And I think for anybody listening, it won't matter, because they know. It's one of those marketing things. You say, well, what percentage of the audience who puts the game in knows I'm Dragonborn
right
before they press play? It's probably going to be pretty high.
Sure.
We try not to take that into account, so it still feels right in the game. But I don't necessarily want to spoil it. I may have told you when you were here, Matt.
Sure.
Did I?
You talked a little bit about it. There were a couple things that I think you had said, like, this is kind of the direction we're going. We don't want to go into a whole lot of detail about it, and there was so much other great info that we had that we were trying to get into the
Right.
that I was trying to get into the
forget what I
article.
said.
That
I'd like to kind of keep it a secret, but there is an event that happens, and you find out.
Right.
And then the Greybeards. Well, this all says it's kind of cool. The Greybeards, the guys who live up on the throat of the world, who are the masters of the voice.
Right.
When they find out about this fairly quickly, and they shout your name, so they shout Dovahkiin to the wind, and it kind of rumbles through the world. It's like the mountain shake when they call you, and you think to yourself, "What was that?" Someone said that was the Greybeards calling you to walk the 7,000 steps up the throat of the world to meet them.
Right. Which you said you promised me
And
you're going to
that's
have 7,000
cool.
steps, right?
I have been promised 7,000 steps, and I'm going to count them. Yes, our world artists are amazing. We have just an amazing team, and they put so much detail in the world. So they didn't blink when I said it must have 7,000 steps.
Sure.
And I was like, who's going to count? Now I've challenged everybody to count.
Somebody
I've
will
been
count.
told.
You know that now, especially now that we're talking about
I
it.
expect them to. Yes.
There's going to be people who sit there for 5 hours one day, and just go through and.
My view is, if you look at all the stuff we have in the world, 7,000 steps is not significantly, it's not that hard.
Right.
Todd, I think we have one more question for you.
Okay.
We've obviously kept you very long here. We probably delayed
Oh,
the
it's
game
not a problem.
day. So it's now 11, 12, 11. We can announce that here.
Yeah. There was one more. We're for not picking the ones that people asked. I'm sure we'll get crucified for a few days coming up here. But one other thing that people were kind of curious about that I did want to have you kind of clarify for them in case we didn't make a good case for it in the article or anything like that, was to explain how kind of the leveling system works, and particularly in relation to like the maximum level, and what your philosophy is towards that. How long can you level in the game? When does it become basically impossible to continue leveling? That kind of thing.
I would say to people it works like Oblivion, where we don't code in a maximum level. There is a theoretical maximum depending on what your skills are. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the one change we've made is that you level faster. We sort of balance Oblivion and Fallout 3 in some respects to like a 1 to 25, 1 to 30. So people who play it, if they play for a long time, that's the kind of high level with creatures and whatever. This one is balanced like 1 to 50, but that isn't longer in gameplay. That is, you do level faster, a lot faster, particularly in the beginning of the game.
Okay.
Because of the way we're handling perks, because a lot of the power is in the perks, we wanted to be giving them out, at a higher rate when you're playing. So we do talk about this as a 1 to 50 game. But I mean, I'd have to go once we play it more. The actual maximum, depending on your particular character, how it works out, it might be 75. You know what I mean? It might be 75. I don't really know.
Yeah.
We don't. I'm just saying we don't code in. This is the maximum level.
Right.
It'll end up whatever it ends up.
Well, and I liked when I was talking with you about it once before, your explanation of the fact that you've got these perks now that you're choosing, and it's kind of one of the big